Okay, there seems to be a lag of maybe a minute or two in the broadcast. So hopefully, as we go along, you'll be able to ask questions. And if I don't answer right away, it's because in real time, I'm probably a little bit ahead of you. So let me get started. For those who don't know me, my name is Mary Kovach from Erie One BOCES Winnierick. And I've been in Lancaster longer than I've been married to my husband, actually, and we're going on 10 years. So I've been there in different capacities, working with Interwrite boards, websites, and now Google as well. And I am a Google certified educator, levels 1 and 2, as well as supporting a number of other endeavors at BOCES. So something new that we're trying is a new webinar format through using Google Hangouts on Air, which now goes through YouTube. So for the first one, I thought I would start with a somewhat simple, somewhat interesting topic. It can be as simple, as complex, or as interesting as you'd like. And this one is centered around using Google Forms and an add-on for Google Drive called Flubaroo for creating assessments. Now, you've probably noticed at the top of my presentation, it says ask a question. And then it has a link that you can go to if you would like to ask a question. So if you click there, it's going to open up a page where you can type in questions. So you can either have a separate tab open in your browser to ask the questions, or if you want to go on a mobile device that you have, you can go to that link as well. So that will be up there at the beginning if you wanted to keep that link open as I go through some of the intro slides. So some of the benefits of online assessments, and that is what Google Forms can be turned into. And those are the strategies we're going to show you today, how you can use forms in Google to create online assessments. So you can provide almost immediate feedback to students. So there are options where students can, as soon as they take the quiz, they can see their results, or if there are questions that need to be graded, something where once you do, you can push it out either to students' email or their Google Drive. And as we all know, online standardized testing is coming, whether we like it or not. It's just a matter of the time frame. And this will get students used to the skills they need to prepare for these tests in the future with the different kinds of questions that you can use. Also, a nice feature that you can use for free through Google Chrome is you can add accessibility options using different extensions. So for example, there's an extension for your Chrome browser called Read and Write for Google. And it offers a number of features. One of the free features is text-to-speech. So students can highlight text on a page and then have it read to them for those students with those needs. And I do have any of the links that I have that I talk about today will be in the online course platform that I gave you access to. And also in the presentation, these will be linked as well. Another great feature, especially if you're doing mostly things that are multiple choice, check all that apply or fill in the blank, the app itself can do most of the grading for you. And we'll look at the different options that we have right within Google Forms and some extra features that you have if you wanted to use the Flubaroo add-on for Google Spreadsheets. Okay, so some of the key features of Google Forms. Again, you can create and access from anywhere as it is a Google resource. You create it right from your Google Drive. And because you create it from your Google Drive, it's automatically saved into your Google Drive. you can easily share with students. So a number of different ways. You can create a link that you can give to students either through just a link during class, if you want to put it into a Google Classroom, any way that you would share a link with students, a teacher website, and they can get easy access to that from anywhere. Another nice feature is you can automatically collect student usernames if you're using the Google Suite in your school. So if your school has accounts for students through the school, you can check that option where they have to log in with their school account, so there's no more forgetting your name on the top of the paper. So for that option in Google Forms, you don't even really have to put in a field that says type in your name. Some things that you can add to enhance your questions: you can add images, you can add links to websites. Let's say it was something they had to read and then respond to. You can also add YouTube videos into questions. You just cannot add audio files. Results are collected within the form in a separate tab called Responses. But if you want to see more detail or use the extra features of Fluebrew, you can choose to see it in a Google spreadsheet in Google Sheets. And again, forms can be automatically scored by either using the built-in quizzes feature, which we'll go over how to use that. It's relatively new to Google Forms when they put out their new version of Forms. And also, we'll go through how to use the Google Sheets add-on called Fluebrew. So what is Fluebrew? What can I do in Fluebrew? Kind of a funny name. Some great tools, though. Essentially what it is spreadsheet formulas that they've already done for you that you can use and run on your quiz. So you can score a combination of question types. So in Google Forms itself, in quizzes, you can use multiple choice and have that scored automatically. But in Fluebrew, you can also choose it to automatically correct free response questions. Because in Fluebrew, what you do is you take the quiz once as the key, and there are some other operators that you can put in there as well if you want to. So you can do more question types with Fluebrew if you want them to be graded automatically. Another nice feature is you can have feedback sent to students via either email or to their Google Drive or both. So with Google Forms themselves, you can choose an option to have it send an email. Through Fluebrew, you can have it go to their Google Drive as well. Something else that you can do in Fluebrew is when they get this file in their email or their drive, you can give students digital stickers. And some students might like to see a little sticker to show that they achieved a certain score. You can calculate student scores in points or percentages. In the quizzes, it does it just by the number of points out of how many. So they take you that extra step as well in Fluebrew. And there are a number of operators that you can use. So you'll see in the slide here in red, I have some expressions. So let's say that your answer can be anywhere between 98 and 102. You could add the operator %2, or let's say you want it to be 100, but plus or minus of 2%. Those are examples of some of the extra operators that you can put into the Fluebrew for auto grading. And another one is you can give partial credit for checkbox questions. So the way you do that, so for example, if the question was which of these presidents were Republican, and it had a list of Kennedy, Reagan, Eisenhower, Clinton, Lincoln, you can give partial credit by adding that operator. So some extra features there. And you can also assign certain questions in your quiz to be extra credit. once we look at some of those advanced options, you can turn that on so it won't be part of the main grade, but it will be additional points that students can get. So what I'm going to do now is I will keep the questions area open here. Try to glance at it every now and then. And again, I think you probably may be a minute or so behind in the live feed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new Google form from my Google Drive. So the place that I usually start is if I go to my Drive, I choose New, and you don't see Forms automatically. What you have to do when you click New is go to More, and then choose Google Forms. Okay, so now from the form, I'm just going to type in a title. So just click where it says Untitled Form, and I'm going to call this Google Quiz. So I'm going to give a quiz on some general knowledge about Google. Now I have a title of the quiz itself. If I want to actually change that file name in my Google Drive, I can also click up here in the upper left corner where it says Untitled Form, and then it's going to reflect that here as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is type in my first question here where it says Untitled Question. Okay, and you have a number of question types. So if I go here where it says multiple choice, I can click on my drop down. So the options you have would be short answer, which would be sort of a one-line, paragraph, which sort of wraps around if students are writing more text. You can do multiple choice. Drop down is the same thing, it just looks a bit different. Check boxes would be that option of check all that apply. So for example, if you wanted to check all the presidents who were Republican, for example. You can actually upload a file as well, which is interesting. You can create linear scales. These might be used more so if you were using it for a poll, let's say, as opposed to an assessment. You can also require students to put in the date, although that will be collected as well when they take the quiz. Okay, so I'm going to choose my first question, which is multiple choice. So the question itself I'll ask is, what year was Google founded? Okay, and so here I'll choose my options. Let's see, 1997. And I can keep adding more options. 1998. 1999, and 2000. Now again, it says you can add another option, but since it's a quiz, we probably don't want to choose that add other write-in option. So now for this question, what I'm going to do is at the bottom here, make that required. So where it says required, I'm just going to click this slider so that when students take it, they have to answer this question in order to move on. So to create our next question, we have a couple of different options. We can either duplicate the current question, or we can click on the plus here. So if you were doing a very similar question with the same options, you might want to duplicate it by clicking this duplicate button. And of course, next to it is the trash can if you no longer want that question. But I'm going to click plus because I'm choosing a different question type. So let's say in this case now, I'm going to click the arrow next to where it says multiple choice and choose checkboxes. So this is going to be a click all that apply. So I'm going to say, which of the following are Google apps? Okay, so here I can say Google Forms, Google Books, Google Friends, which is not a thing. I'm just going to make up some things that are not really things. Let's see. Google Books, Google Social. So let's say in this case now, I want people to choose just the ones that are Google Apps. So this is a checkbox question, and I'll make this required. Now at any point, you can also add in either just some text on the side. So if you wanted to add some text that's not necessarily a question, you can do that. I can add an image. So if I click on Add Image, the options I have are I can either upload an image from my computer. If I have something saved in my Google Drive, I can certainly pull that in as well. But another nice option is you can do a search, an image search right from here. So if I click on Search, then I can search for an image. Okay, so let's say I want a Google logo in there. Click on it, and then click Select, the blue button Select here. Okay. I'm just going to call that Google logo. So it could be you're putting in a question and asking students about an image. Another option you have is you can put in a YouTube video. So if students have access to YouTube, you want them to watch a short video, they can do that and then answer a question about it. So I can either search YouTube, or if I know the address, I can copy and paste it here. So I'm going to search for Hall and Oates, Google. Let's see if I can find this one here. Okay, so go Google Hall and Oates, and I can kind of preview that.
Oh, here she comes. She's a scary lady. She's an angry tiger.
So you can see in this video, it's as if we had Google Docs back in the 1980s, how they could collaborate to create their lyrics. So I'm going to choose this and click Select. Okay. I'm going to say, you know, if we had Google in the 80s. And now I can put a question attached to that as well. So now I'm going to create another question. And this one I will create as a short answer. So I'll click short answer. I can say, which Google app were Hall and Oates using in the video? Okay, and this is where then I could have students type in the answer, which would be Google Docs. So far we have a couple of different question types. What year was Google founded, which is multiple choice. Checkboxes, so check all that apply. And we have a short answer question. So I'm just going to add one other question here. Click Add Question. And this one I will do paragraph answer. Okay. So I could say, what are some ways in which you use Google? So this could then be a free response question, which I could make required or not required. But let's say that I want an answer here as well. Okay, so now we have the basis of our form, and we can do a couple of things here to change it to a quiz. Okay, so far we have our questions. And up near the right-hand corner, right next to the send button, there's a gear. So the gear icon is where we can go to change our settings. So I'm going to click here. And the first tab, this is now where if you wanted to, you could collect email addresses, or you could restrict it to just your district users. In this case, I won't, but you could restrict it to just your district and have it collect your students' accounts. So that way you wouldn't need to put in a name field. So they forgot their name, you have their username. Okay, now if it's a quiz, you may not want them to edit after submission. So I'm going to go to the next tab, which is presentation. So you can show student progress as they're working along if it's a very long quiz. You can shuffle the question order if you want to. And if you want to allow them to take it again, you can show a link to submit another response. If you don't want them to try again, you can uncheck that option. Okay, and here you can also change your confirmation message. So the default is your response has been recorded. So I'm just going to change that to say, thank you for taking the quiz. Okay. Now, oh, hi, Jill. To only put a couple of words describing the question where it says question, and then put the entire question where it says description. That's actually a good strategy. So when you're looking at your spreadsheet, that it's not as long. Yep. Excellent, Jill. I'm gonna, you know what I'm gonna do is I am actually going to, let's see, can I give you a thumbs up? Somebody give Jill a thumbs up. I think she's doing a great job. Thanks, Jill. Somebody give Jill a thumbs up. That is a great suggestion. So I'm going to click on my third tab here, and this is what turns it into a quiz that is auto-graded. So where it says make this a quiz, I am going to turn that on by the slider. And now I have the option to either release the grade immediately so that students, after they submit it, can see the feedback automatically. If not, you can turn on manual review. But then what's going to happen is it'll create a field that makes them put in their email address. So then if you have questions you want to manually review, then they would get that email later. Okay, but I'm going to keep it on this option for now. Okay, so respondents can see missed questions, correct answers, or point values. Again, if it's something where students are going to go back and take it again, you might not want to show the correct answers. If not, these can be very helpful to give students that immediate feedback. So now that I have quizzes turned on, I'm going to click Save and go back to my questions. Okay, so now click back on my first question. And now you'll see at the bottom of the question, when I'm editing, I have an option called Answer Key. So if I click here, now I'm going to select the correct answer, which is 1998. Okay, so I'm going to make this one worth 10 points. And here's where you can type in your point values. Also, if you want to, you can add answer feedback. So if I click Add Answer Feedback, I can do different feedback for incorrect answers and correct answers. So for correct answers, I can say, you got it. For incorrect answers, I could say, no, try again, or I could say, Google was founded in 1998. Also, if it's a question where you have a resource that would be useful for students to go back to, let's say it's a question they got wrong, that they just didn't understand the concept, and you had a video that explained it, let's say, there's an option here as well to add in a link. So you can add in a link for students to click on to give an explanation as well. So I'm going to click Save. Okay, and then I have my feedback and my correct answer. So the same here, when I click on which of the following are Google Apps, click on Answer Key. I'll make that 10 points as well. Actually, let's see. I'm going to make this one some more points just to kind of show. So I will make this one 15 points. So now I'm going to choose all the ones that would be correct answers. So again, this is checkboxes, and the answer key is going to include all the ones that are possible answers. Okay. And now if I scroll down, I can't really choose a correct answer for the ones that are right in. At least I can't do that option within this quizzes feature. We'll look at some options for that when we look at Flugebrew. But I can add in point values that then I can go back in and give students points later. And the same with this paragraph text. I can click Answer Key just to put in, let's say, the point value. Okay, and now since we are in Google, as you can see up here, all our changes are going to be automatically saved into Google Drive. So if I want to see what that looks like, up here near the upper right corner, I'm going to click this eyeball to preview it. Okay, so here's the quiz. I can answer and submit. So here I can put in my email address. Okay, and choose the answers that I think are correct. Maybe I'll get a few wrong. I can say using forms for assessment. So I'm just taking the quiz as a practice. This is what students would see as well. This is also now the link where if you click at the top of the page and you copy this link, because this is the view link, you can copy this and share that with your students for them to take the quiz. And I could put that into my Google Classroom, on my website, wherever I would share links with students. Okay, and so I'm gonna click Submit. Okay, now since I gave myself the option to view my score, I'm gonna click here. So you can see that, oops, I got one wrong there. But here, I don't really have any points yet because my teacher hasn't graded it. Because these are actually ones that just in this quizzes, the teacher would have to go in and grade separately. Okay, so I'm gonna close out of this tab to get back to editing. Oops, there we are. So a couple of things, if you wanted to change the way your quiz looks, by default, it's gonna be this just purple background. If I click on the color palette at the top, I can either choose a different color, or I can click on the little mountains and I can choose an image. So let's say I want to use these jelly beans. I can click there and select. And they have a number of different pictures that you can choose from there. So the first place I can go if I want to see responses is from where I'm editing my form. Next to where it says questions, I can click responses. Okay, so first, I'm going to get a summary of how students did. Okay. If I click on individual, this is where now I can see individual student scores And if there's something I need to grade manually, I can go in and do that. So I can say here, oh, I'm going to give Mary 10 points because she got that right. And I'm going to click in here. I'll be generous here to myself and add 10 points there as well. And then at the bottom, click save. Okay, so now that's going to update Mary's score. Now she has 30 out of 45 points. Now, what happened here was with the checkboxes, because I got one wrong, it actually gave me 0 points. But now as a teacher, if I want to go in and say, well, they got these two, this was wrong, but they missed this one, I can go in and give partial credit. So again, in Flubaroo, there's a way that you can do that so it grades and gives partial credit automatically. So now I can save that again. And then you can see that it updates Mary's score. Okay. So the other place where you can go to see responses in more detail and also use the Flubaroo add-on is above my response area. You're going to see a green button which says Create Spreadsheet. So I'm going to click Create Spreadsheet. And I can either select one that's already existing, or I can create a new one here. I'm going to call it Google Quiz, and I'll just put today's date on there. And I'm going to keep responses in parentheses, just so I know these are form responses. And then click Create. Okay, so far, I only have the one student. And this is what Jill was talking about, how the question itself gets a little bit cut off. So if you do want to see the full question, it might be to your benefit when you're editing to, let me see, edit question here. And add in some help text, which then would not show up in that form. So those are some great options there. And you can see it automatically put in my email address. So let me go back and actually take this again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get ready to use Flubaroo. So what I'm going to do is take this once with the correct answers. Okay, so I'm going to put in, say my email address. Oh, put in a different, oh, put the same one in this time. Okay. Okay. But now I'm going to put in the correct answers. And I can always, if I mess up, I can always change it once I go back to the spreadsheet. So I'm going to select those in Google Books. Okay, I'm going to say here, Google Docs. And this one would have to be graded on my own. So I'm going to say this one is hand graded. Because this would be a question that I would want to go in and look at students' responses. And I'm going to click Submit. Okay, so what happens now, once I submit and I go back to that spreadsheet that I created, it's going to show that as a new row in my spreadsheet. Okay, so how do we get Flubaroo? I do have a link to it within the course materials, within the webinar materials, but you can also add it on once you're in your Google Sheets by going up to the add-ons menu. And if you don't have Flubaroo, you can choose Get Add-ons. Okay, and as you can see, Flubaroo shows up as one of the biggest ones because it really is one of the more popular ones to turn, excuse me, your forms into a quiz. If it didn't show up for some reason, you could search your add-ons. do a search for Flubaroo. And mine says manage because I already have it added. If you don't have it, what's going to happen is it will say add. And then it's going to add that as an add-on within your Google Sheets. So now what I'm going to do is go to my add-ons. Now I already have Flubaroo there. And what I'm going to do is enable Flubaroo in this sheet. You can see I already have the scores like this. Okay, so it says Flubaroo has been enabled for the sheet. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my options here, just expand that a little bit. The only thing I'm going to change in here in my answer key is I wanted to automatically give partial credit for these checkbox answers. So at the beginning of this line, I'm going to put in %CB, and CB stands for checkbox and a space. So similar to what's in the presentation with the presidents, I can do that for this as well. So once my answer key looks good, what I'm going to do is go back to add-ons and Flubaroo, and now I'm going to grade the assignment. Okay, so it's going to ask you what kind of questions or options are these different fields. So the email address I'm going to keep as identify student. Now this score one here, that was the automatic score from quizzes. This one I'm going to choose skip grading. So I'm going to skip the grading of this one. Okay, and this one I'm going to do normal grading. This one I'm going to do normal grading. Let's say in this case I'll make that 3 points, just to show how the partial credit works. Normal grading for this fill in the blank as well. And for this last one, which is where students are writing a free response, I'm going to choose grade by hand. So that will then force me to have to put in those scores for students. Okay, so I'm going to click continue. Okay, so now this is where I'm going to choose the one that's the key. So I know that this most recent one that I put in, this is the answer key. And that's in my spreadsheet here, that second line. And I'm going to click continue. And what's happening is it's creating a separate tab in my spreadsheet. Okay, so now I'm going to close out of here. It says Flubaroo grading complete. And you see now I have 2 tabs. My original one, which is the student submissions, and I also have the grades as well. Did I lose my mouse here? I hope I did not. Come on. Oh no, where's my mouse? I may have to get a new mouse here. Hold on 1 second. Oh, there we go. Okay, my mouse is back. Okay, so what this does is it gives me a percentage, the number of times submitted, and my score as well. Now this is where now I have to go in and I have to do some hand grading. So I can go a couple of ways that I can do that. I can go up to my add-ons and go to Flubaroo, and I can grade questions by hand. Okay, and it's going to work on that. Okay. So I can say here, Mary said using forms for assessment. I think that's a good answer, so I can give her a point for that and choose set grade. Now, if I had more students, I could then scroll through and choose the students. Okay. Oh no, okay. I wonder if it's when I lost connection on my mouse. Okay, let me know if it's still blurry. Let me take a look and see what's going on here. If it's blurry. It could be let me see, the connection. Let me try again here. My session expired. Hold on 1 second. It could be the connection. If something is blurry and you need to go back, you should still be able to see it better once it's recorded. Okay, let me just check this for a second here. See what's going on. See what's going on. Oh, yeah, let me see if I go in very close. It does look a little bit blurry here. See what's going on. Oh, yeah, okay, so it's a little bit behind. I just checked it on my Chromebook. Hopefully it's just in the buffering time there. Hopefully things wouldn't be as blurry if you go back in the recorded video. But I'll try to explain it well as I go as well. So, but thanks for letting me know, Jill. And again, if you have questions after today, you can obviously always contact me and I can help you out. But hopefully the video would not end up being that blurry. If it's something we need to adjust later, we will certainly work on that. So thanks for your feedback, Jill. Okay, so I'm going to add my points here. I was doing the Flubaroo grade questions by hand, and I'm going to set my grade. Okay, so really what I'm doing is it's showing me my responses, and then when I enter the grade, it's just putting it into that field in the spreadsheet. So I could always go in and manually enter those scores as well. So some other options that you have with Flubaroo. I'm going to go back to add-ons and choose Flubaroo. If I have students who submit an assignment late, I will have to regrade the assignment. If there are questions, let's say, that the teacher has to go in and give a grade for. But let's say that it is a quiz or something where it's all auto-graded. You have the ability to choose to have it automatically sent grades. So if I go to my advanced options, so I go to add-ons for my sheet, go to Flubaroo and choose advanced. This is where if I wanted to, I can enable auto grading. And what that does is that it then sends students a response right away. Some other advanced options that I have. If I click my advanced options, I can choose to auto grade the student's most recent submission. And this is where now I can choose to allow questions to be extra credit. So if I wanted extra credit questions, I would have to, before I grade it, I would have to choose this in my advanced options. Okay, and also when students receive the email, by default, it's going to say Flubaroo Grader. So this bottom advanced option, you can change the name that shows up when your students receive their grade. So I'm going to change this to Mrs. Kovach. So it looks like the students are getting an email from Mrs. Kovach. And then I'm going to click submit. Okay, so let's say that we didn't do the auto grade option. And now what I want to do is distribute that feedback to students, either through email or through their Google Drive. I'm going to go back to my add-ons from my sheet and choose Flubaroo. And now I'm going to choose Share Grades. Okay, so it's going to ask what is the email address question. In this case, it's the email address field. Grade sharing, I can choose either just via email, or I can do just Google Drive, or I can share to both email and a student's Google Drive. So I can choose that option. Now, if you're interested in the stickers, you have to click first where it says show advanced options, stickers, and more. So I'm going to click this link from here, and I can choose a sticker. So I'm going to click where it says setup sticker. You can see they have one here. It looks like a little award trophy. You can add your own stickers, which if we have a little time at the end, I will show that as well. But I can click setup sticker. And I can choose to include a sticker and then give a threshold amount. So I can say to myself, if students got above an 80%, then what I can do is when they get their report in their email, they get a sticker. Okay, so I can click here on my super skills, which is a little ninja, and click done. Okay, so now when students get their feedback, it's going to include that sticker, and I can choose a message to write there as well. Okay, so I'm going to continue with that. Okay, and then if you have a lot of students, what it's going to do is it might take a minute or so to send all those emails out to them and create the documents that are going to go to their Google Drive. So it says one grade was sent successfully. And it's going to tell you here as well in your spreadsheet, there's a row that says email to grade. If there's an X there, that means the student did receive an email. So what happens is then the student gets an email. Now let me just go into my email here. I'll log into that. Okay, so it says here is your grade for Google Quiz. Okay, and I have my little ninja here. And I can also view my grade report in Google Drive. So in this case, I chose not to include the answer key, but you could certainly do that as well. So I'm going to click to view the grade report in my Google Drive. And there's my little ninja. And if my instructor had made comments, then those would be here as well. And so again, if you have students taking the quiz later, if you didn't do auto grade, you would have to go back in, choose regrade, and then go back to Fluebrew and choose share grades. But again, if it's something where it's just automatically graded, multiple choice checkboxes, fill in the blank, you could always go to the advanced under Fluebrew and choose enable auto grade. So those are the options of Fluebrew. What I'm going to show you is how you can create those stickers of your own, let's say. So let me see if I can find a picture here. Let's see. I'm just going to look for any images that I have already. So let's say that I wanted the Winnie Rick logo or one of these pictures in there. Let's see if I can find one that maybe is better. Let's see. Can't really find any that are better. But what I'm going to do, let's say I wanted to start creating a folder and put some images in that I want to use as stickers. So what I can do is I can make a copy of this, let's say, just so I don't affect the original. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder that I'm going to put this image into. So what I'm going to do is if I right click on this, I can say move to. Okay, and what I'm going to do is create a new folder in my Google Drive. And it has to be called this exact thing. You have to call it Flubaroo space dash space and then the word stickers. So once I create that folder in my Google Drive, I'm going to click move here. Okay, so you see now I have my Flubaroo stickers folder. And I have to make this something that anybody can have access to. So I have to turn on my link sharing. Otherwise, students wouldn't be able to see those. Again, by default, mine says anyone at Erie One BOCES. By default, yours would say anyone at Lancaster. If you wanted to open that up under your sharing settings, you certainly could make it something that others could see as well. And so now in this folder, here's my sticker. So now if I go back to my Google spreadsheet and I go to share grades, which is where I chose my sticker. And I go to my stickers and more. And I click here to set up my sticker. Then once this loads here, any pictures that I put into that folder are going to show up as possible stickers. So they give you some to choose from. If you get tired of using these, you can always go in, find more images, and then add them to your folder. Okay, I'm just going to close out of this for now. So those are the main options that are in Google Forms for assessment. So again, you can use the built-in quizzes feature. You can also use Flubaroo if you wanted to do some extra things. Now I'm going to just log in quickly here to the online platform, which you should all have access to. I just point some things out for you. Okay, now I do hope to offer some more webinars in the future. I'm looking to offer one for vocabulary using Google Tools in February. So I'm hoping to get that one up and running soon. So at any time, you can go back to the help videos and PD webinars. Oh, snap. Okay, let me refresh here. Okay, here we go. So at any time now, you can go back to Google Forms webinar to either watch the recording by clicking on the link where you are right now. If you have questions after today, right now for the live session, we have the Google Slides link. But if you have questions tomorrow, the next day, there's a forum here as well where you can ask questions, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. You can always email me as well. And also, if you wanted a PD certificate for today, there is a quiz that you can take. Right now, maybe some of you have started that. And there is a code word that you need to put in for the quiz. And the code word is quizzes in Google. So that is on my screen. So it's all lowercase and no spaces. It's quizzes in Google. So just leave that up there for a second. So again, it is the secret code that you have to put in for that short 5-question quiz. The phrase you would have to type in is quizzes in Google, all lowercase without spaces. And let me go back to here. Okay, so here I've also added the link in for the Flubaroo add-ons. This is a very short 4-minute video from Flubaroo talking about some 10 either new or interesting features of Flubaroo itself. And also I've added some links in. If you wanted to do some of those other more advanced options, then there's some help links for those as well. So what I mentioned in the presentation, which you also have access to, some ways that you can score numerical ranges. So there are some links that will help you with that. Yeah, let me click back on forums webinars here. Okay. And again, there's a link here. If you wanted some help with creating stickers, you can do that as well. So this will outline how you can create that folder to share stickers. Okay, and some other ones that I have here. The link for Read and Write for Google Chrome. So if you wanted to install that extension, what that does is it allows you to select text and have it read on the screen. And also I just included a view-only link to an example spreadsheet that I did. So if you wanted to get a little fancier with some formulas. So for example, it's just kind of a fun thing because I like The Simpsons. It's name one of the girls in the Simpson family. Well, if either Lisa, Maggie, or Marge would be an acceptable response, and you wanted that to auto-grade, those are some formulas that you could use in here. So you could copy and paste that, just put in your own values. So I have an example here for if there are 2 possible answers for a fill in the blank. And these are all fill in the blank auto-grade options. And this is if you had 3 possible choices. And you could really do as many as you wanted. Another option here, if you are worried about case sensitivity, if you want to make sure that students are capitalizing things that are proper names, then you could use this, which is %CS. And so what that does is it makes it case sensitive. So it's going to, when it auto grades that free response in Flubaroo, it's going to make sure that it's the same case. So just some additional resources. So again, you can always, okay, Colleen, I will go over those directions again. I just saw your email. So the Google quiz here, if you click on where it says Google Forms quiz from the online platform, so where you clicked for the video, just scroll down a few until you see Google Forms quiz. So you're going to click Google Forms quiz. Okay, and then fill in the quiz here. And the secret code I'm going to bring up here once more. The secret code that you need is this. It's quizzes in Google, and it's all lowercase, no spaces. So quizzes in Google. Oops, sorry, I meant to go to here. Okay, so you would have to type in quizzes in Google. So once you do that, then it's going to allow you to submit and continue that way. So let me go back to the presentation here for a second. Okay, so if there are any other questions, I have the link back up for the Google Slides. So if you want to ask a question now, you can enter that into the Google Slides, the goo.gl/slides/9skzvk. It's the link that should be showing on your screen now. Again, you can go back and watch the recording. Anytime we do webinars, you should be able to rewind as well. If you missed, let's say, the first few minutes, that should be an option as well. So I'm going to give you a chance, if you need to ask some questions. And I'll be watching the question slide here in my Google Slides. And thank you, Jill, for your input. Hopefully things got a little clearer with that. I think sometimes as things are trying to buffer over YouTube, that can cause a bit of an issue. But again, this is something even fairly new for Google Hangouts on Air using YouTube. It's something they're working through that we're working through. Actually, I had to come home to do the webinar today because we were having some filtering issues with this tool at BOCES. So I came home, I got my son off the bus, and he's being very nice downstairs now, letting me use the computer. Gonna have some of my seltzer now. I was gonna get a glass of wine, then I didn't. It wasn't even 4 o'clock yet at the time. Oh, you're welcome, Jill. Let me see if we have some other questions. So just stay on the line for a couple of minutes. If you have questions, please post them here. Again, if you have questions tomorrow or the next day or whenever, let me get myself here on the screen. If you have questions another day, you can add them into the online platform. Okay, and have a good night. If you are on your way, if you're already home, glad that you are. If you aren't, have safe travels. And I look forward to seeing you again in the future. And if you have questions, I will stay online for a little while as well. Thank you. And I'll put this back up. Okay, great, Chris. Yeah, excellent. Thank you. So using Google Classroom should make it easy for sharing those quizzes as well. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Roxanne, I see your questions here. I hope you're feeling better. So what I will do, I'm not sure if Roxanne is still here, I will get back to you and answer those tomorrow. So I'm just going to give you another minute, and if we don't have other questions, either through email or through the speaker notes, then I will say goodnight and end our broadcast. And then pretty much within a few minutes after that, you should be able to watch the video. And I will send Roxanne her thing here. Okay, so hope everyone has a great night. Any other questions, you can email or use the online discussion for that. Have a good night.